Greetings everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to bring you through 5 things I love about my 2016 Audi S3. Just a little background, my previous car was a 2011 Subaru WRX, and after owning that car for about 4 years and 60,000 miles, I decided it was time to buy something a little more grown up and move on into the sport luxury segment. It was pretty hard to keep this list to just 5 things. This car really is fantastic, and it's kind of ironic since I was never really much of a German car enthusiast, but after driving this thing, I mean, the test drive sealed the deal. So we're going to go through 5 things, and hope you enjoy the video. So the first thing I love about the S3 is the powertrain, and the reason I say powertrain is because it's evident of how well the engine and transmission are matched to each other. They work in complete harmony. The drivability is absolutely insane. The shifts of this car are lightning fast, and it boggles my mind that this thing can make 292 horsepower out of a little 2-liter engine. It doesn't really have any turbo lag so long as you're in, a lower gear. If you're deliberately in 4th or 5th gear, it's a little something, but honestly, nowhere near as bad as my Subaru. That car, the turbo would hit like a sledgehammer, but if you weren't in boost, forget it. It would take a while, especially in between shifts, and that's where this thing really shines. With the Audi S3 transmission, it just bang, bang, it grabs the next gear, and it doesn't lose any boost in the process. And with the WRX, wait 5 seconds, and then it's quick. I think that was really the shortcoming of that car. Obviously, this is kind of apples and oranges. It would probably be more fair to compare that to the Golf R. However, they do share the same powertrain, so I feel it's still a valid argument. So as a point of reference, in the WRX, the engine was pretty good. It was a powerful 2.5-liter engine, but the drivetrain, the way it worked with the transmission, it was tough. Like I said, when you shift, you lost a lot of your boost pressure, and the clutch in that car is absolutely horrific. It's a really stiff clutch. After I replaced the clutch, it definitely got better, but I know that a lot of Subaru owners were having issues, even with low mileage cars. The clutch was so stiff, they were actually breaking the firewalls on the welds on the firewall. So clearly there's an issue there that Subaru hasn't addressed. Luckily I never had that problem, and it was still fine. Now I will say, I know a lot of people were disappointed that the S3 wasn't offered with a manual in the States. However, daily driving the S-Tronic, I gotta say, it's definitely one of the best gearboxes out there. Obviously, under the Volkswagen family tree, you have Porsche and their fantastic PDK transmission. I would say this isn't as good as a PDK. I think as far as sub-$100,000 cars, that's probably the best that you get, but it's pretty damn close. I'd say the only other thing that can come close is probably that BMW M2 I drove a few weeks back. That had the new ZF 8-speed transmission in it, and as far as a traditional automatic, that thing is absolutely blew my mind. Daily driving, really impressed at how smooth the shifts are. You don't have any jerkiness or hesitation. It really just blends like a traditional automatic. Frankly, it almost feels like a CVT if you really know nothing about cars and just drive it easily. But then, when you click it over into the manual mode, grab the paddle, it'll really hit you pretty hard when it shifts. And I was pretty apprehensive about daily driving an automatic because I've been driving a stick shift since 2004. So this was a really big change for me. Granted, yes, I still have the Boxster for the weekends, but as you can probably see in the background, we've got a lot of snow here, and that car's put away for the winter right now. So it's a fantastic drivetrain package, and I'm really pleased with it. It's also interesting that the engine truly does make power from about 2,000 to 5,000 RPMs. The torque is a very flat, broad torque band, which is really nice around town. It doesn't feel like a 4-cylinder. It really feels like a big 6 or even maybe an older, smaller 8-cylinder, just the way it gives you a shove in the ass and gets you down the road. It really makes it nice around town, and especially if you can manage to fit a couple of friends in the small back seat, then it actually gets out of its own way even when it's loaded up with weight. The last thing I like about the powertrain is the fact that the paddle shifters, they actually work. It's not some gimmicky bullshit you'd find on a Honda Accord. I really hate that everyone in the industry is doing that. I know it's purely a marketing tactic. I wish they'd just stop that. The sad thing is that, people who aren't car people, they think, oh, it's a sport transmission, it's exciting. It's bullshit, is what it is. This obviously is the real deal, like I said, just like a PDK. And the attention to detail in this car, I really like that, I mean, obviously everyone expects their buttons to be lit up and easy to find, but even the little plus and minus indicators on the shift paddles light up at night. And that sort of stuff, I really enjoy that. You know, it's where you can see where your extra money is going to this versus the Golf R, and just the quality of the materials and the stitching of the steering wheel. So that brings me to my second point, which is the quality of the interior. That was really a big deal for me in purchasing this car. As much as I loved the speed of the WRX, frankly, the interior sucked. It was a base Impreza. It's no secret. Don't get me wrong. It's a great bang for the buck. I say it's the Japanese Mustang. You really can't beat it. But I'm getting a little older. I was looking for some more creature comforts. And I like Audi's minimalist approach. Just the way that they did, you know, the navigation screen can retract into the dashboard. You got the beautiful vents. You know, the way the bezels are. You have the stitched steering wheel, the stitching of the seats, and the center console, I think, is absolutely beautiful. The Audi MMI is very easy to use, and I was a little intimidated at first because I didn't have a lot of experience with a system like this. It's very intuitive. I think it looks very classy. I think their whole thing is kind of less is more, and to me that's great. You know, I make my living working on Honda and Acuras, and a lot of the Acuras, as much as I do enjoy some of the things they have, frankly, their infotainment systems, they're very busy. They're very button heavy. There's just a lot going on, and it can be very difficult to decipher if you're looking at it quickly, and frankly it makes the cabin feel a little crowded. Just, you know, the way Audi's done simple things, even the black headliner. I mean, there's so many cars out there that don't have a black headliner, and it can just kind of offset the contrast of the car, and I think they really hit the mark there. And the other thing that I really enjoy is just the quality of the gauges. You know, I had an A3 loaner when this was in for service, and the A3 gauges, they're black dials, and they're not bad, but they're very German, very business, very plain. You know, with these, obviously, this car doesn't have the virtual cockpit that came out the year after, but the regular gauges, you know, they're a gray face with white dials. They're easy to read. It looks special compared to the A3, and I like that they make those little changes so you can set yourself aside from the base model A3. And the other thing too is just the overall build quality of the car. You shut the door, it makes a nice solid thud. Everything, it just supports the quality of the overall car. The third thing I love about my S3 is the exterior. This, I mean, the second I saw it, it had me. It was love at first sight. I think that the body lines of this car, they got it just right, and it's a very classic shape in my opinion. The way I see it is that automakers these days are designing cars in one of three different styles. They're either making them look very aggressive, they're making them look very conservative, or they're making them look very classic. So far as a very aggressive, I would think Lexus. You know, their cars are looking very aggressive these days, and conservative would obviously be your Honda. Even Toyota, they're still pretty conservative. And whenever I think of classic car styling, I always think of Aston Martin or Ferraris designed by Pininfarina. You have the classic swept rear quarters, and granted, everyone makes fun of Audi that all their cars look the same, and I tend to agree with them. However, don't fix what ain't broke. I mean, the reality is all of their models, they may look the same, but they look great. You know, just the way that the body lines on this car flow from a kind of muscular-looking front end. It's got these kind of mini flares on the S3 with a nice swept rake windshield, and then just the way it finishes off with the dovetail trunk and the little lip spoiler in the back. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I get so many compliments on this car with just the way it looks. I think they absolutely did a great job. The proportions of the car are absolutely great. Now, granted, right now I'm on my winter wheel package, but this car does have the black optic package, which does include the 19-inch wheels, and they really set this thing off. You know, if you were to compare this to the A3 loaner I've had when I've had it in for service, you know, it's a little bling. It's got chrome on the exterior mirrors. It's got chrome around the grille. It really doesn't stack up to the look of this car, and that's what I think is cool about something like that. When people would look at a car like this and look at it next to an A3 and say, wow, it looks like a different model. Why does it look so special? Not even realizing they're basically the same car with a lot of different options packages. But the thing that really sets them apart is the little details. And that's what I think is so cool, that you can have two cars built up the same chassis, the same assembly line, but they can look so different because of better wheels, blacked out mirrors, blacked out grille, and especially to the untrained eye, it looks so much different, and they have no idea why. And you know, it grabs your attention. It gives you a presence on the road, and it's just awesome. And as far as the classic styling goes, Audi's had the eyebrow LED headlight look for a while now. I think they've really got that down. My car is also equipped with the red calipers, which I probably wouldn't have spec'd it if I'd actually spec'd this car. I just bought it off the lot just basically because it had the black optic package. But I gotta say, the red calipers, they've grown on me quite a bit. I think Audi did a good job with it. They're not too overstated. They're just enough. But overall, I gotta say, just the way that the body lines on this car flow, especially coming from you know, my rally-bred Optimus Prime looking Subaru that I drove, it's definitely a mature look. I think it's going to age very well. I don't think any of today's Audis are ever going to look really dated in the used car market, and that goes for the interior too. You know, I think it's just a design that's, you know, people will pick these cars up for short money in 5 to 10 years, and they're still going to be awesome cars, and they're still going to look like $1 million. Now, the fourth thing I love about my S3 is the sound system. This car is equipped with the optional Bang & Olufsen sound system, which in my opinion should be factory because it's absolutely out of this world. It's completely mind-blowing. Ear-blowing? I don't know. Either way, it's fantastic. I've never been much of an audiophile, but this thing, just the clarity and the power, it's truly fantastic. I had never really cared much about sound in a car. I mean, the Subaru had, I think, a premium audio system, and I threw a sub in it, and it was actually pretty good for what it was. But then I got into this thing, and holy shit, it's literally like having an artist in the car singing the song to you. Honestly, I'm just speechless. So to give you an idea of just how good the sound system is, I think we've all been in the situation where we're driving fast on a back road, and we start driving so fast that we start to kind of giggle at how fast the car is, that we almost kind of scare ourselves in the enjoyment of how good it is. I actually find myself doing that same routine with the audio system in this car, where I will play a track pretty loud, and I'll be able to pick out all the different sounds that I've never heard before because I have shitty headphones at home. And then it just starts to sound so good, I'll actually start to giggle at the clarity and the loudness of it. And I think that's truly fantastic when you look at the amount of time that you'll spend in a car, whether you're going back and forth to school or work, to just surround yourself in this cocoon of awesomeness and truly drown out the outside world and focus on some beautiful music, whatever it is you listen to. I listen to a lot of EDM and classic rock and stuff like that. And really being able to focus on that, it can really enhance your driving experience, even if you're just going to the grocery store. It's awesome. Now, the last thing I love about my S3 is the trunk button. Now, I know what you're thinking. Will, you're talking about the trunk button. Well, yes, I am. And here's why. The trunk button is very important to me because how many times you've been trying to run out to your car in the rain, grab something from the trunk, put something in it, what have you. You have to fumble for the key that's in your pocket. Surely it's raining out and completely miserable, and you might be holding something. Get the door open, try to bend down, grab that awkward lever, you probably drop your keys in a puddle, run around the back of the trunk, throw your shit in there, shut it, grab your keys out of the puddle and run back inside. And you're drenched and you're miserable. The trunk button is just so convenient. I don't know why it's taken so many automakers long to get to this point. Now, I know some other manufacturers, they're starting to do it on their coupes and sedans. You know, I owned an Integra hatchback years ago, and that had it. And it seems like only hatchbacks have really had these buttons for a while now. But it just makes it so much easier. Obviously, it doesn't cost them much to put the button on there. It's just a nice convenience factor, and I think it just kind of sets off the convenience of the car. It's easy to drive. You know, you get in it, you put it in duh, you don't think. But then when you want to make it more complicated, you can. And to me, the trunk button is just an example of that engineering. Alright everyone, so that's 5 things I love about my S3. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you like my channel. I'm hoping to get more videos out soon. We're going to be doing more test drives and more reviews and all sorts of awesome shit. Thanks for watching.